So we can go a bit further to go a bit more, let's say, in detail regarding the TPV inquiries and proposals received. So inquiries, again, there is a designer. If he puts you in the project, it's, let's say, the safest solution for your ceiling because you are there and someone needs to replace you. It's not the other way around, but it can take some time for the project realization. You can offer also our air handling units, so basic VN, and you can have additional options immediately, let's say, set in the project. So if the designer would like to, let's say, design a ceiling with you, you can offer some additional options. Maybe the designer has someone which he is, let's say, cooperating with for Ansul design, so you can always overlap that into our project. As for the installer inquiries, it will most likely be some kind of competitor replacement. So, or it can be a fresh project which will be in some faster pace. I don't know, someone in the last minute decided that he would like to go for the ceiling instead of the hoods, and then we will propose a solution for that. Or it can be the investor from the beginning, but you would like to redirect him to the designer or to the installer because of all the installations correlated to the ventilation ceiling, because we sell and we install the ceiling only and nothing outside of that. So as for the inquiries, it can be even either a new project or competitor replacement. As we spoke, you will want to have as many details received as possible. So all the details regarding the architecture, regarding the ventilation project, regarding other installations which are above the ceiling or which are planned to go through the ceiling. The appliance list is, let's say, maybe not necessary when replacing, but it can be useful for the double check. So if something is designed for one type of ceiling, if you have, let's say, a finished proposed airflow calculation from them, you can follow it, but it's always good to have one from our own, because when you get to the approval documentation, you will have to also approve the technical specification. So yeah, the competitor, as an example, is GIF here. This is, let's say, some basic layout, how their drawings look. You will see it a bit more in detail soon. So as we mentioned, this is Halton. We will just go through the competitors and some of the basic features they offer. So Halton has, let's say, some possibilities for integrated UV filtration, same as we do. They have this automatic control system called Marvel. Probably the Swedes know about it. They are hating it. Even though I heard that Marvel doesn't work so well as it is marketed. So yeah, I mean, it's more maybe for the market point of view, but the best solution, I mean, not the best solution, we can offer also let's say some kind of automatic system, but it will work for some smaller kitchens. And if you would like to have a large kitchen with automatic work, then the best solution would be to contact some automatician, if you have some partner who does that, and let's say to implement a solution similar to ours or to Marvel. Because Marvel, as I said, I heard that the pressure drops are not, let's say, regulated well. The dampers regulation times are not as quick as they are marketed. So there are more issues with that than let's say benefits, because in every BMS system, in every control system, it's hard to, let's say, implement a lot of factors. So you have this sensor, that sensor, regulation of this damper, that damper. So everything has to be as precise as possible. And maybe the best solution would be to contact the specialist in that. So the second one is, as we mentioned, GIF. It's an open system with a lot of possibilities. So they have some kind of small boxes for show kitchen, show cooking. They have sound attenuation panels for the dishwashing areas. They have custom color panels as well. They have this, let's say, intensive extraction parts of the ceiling, even though it is an open ceiling. So this is like something like integrated hood because of the higher capacity for the extraction. Okay, what else? They have, yeah, they also have their own control system. It's not their own, but they are in partnership with a company called Eco Azur. So it is quite similar to Marvel, maybe even better. They have infrared sensors for humidity, for temperature, and they can, I believe, control up to 64 dampers or something like that. So it's really, really good, but of course it's expensive. It could be implemented into our system, but I believe that someone specialized in that would be a better choice. And of course, Menerga Sudluft, as we mentioned, quite similar to our solution, maybe not design-wise, but the principle is the same. So just to show you what you can expect from Halton if you didn't see it before, this is some, let's say, basic floor plan from their side. You can see, let's do it like that. So you can see one cooking center, second larger cooking center, integrated hood, and let's say dishwashing area. So all of these magenta colors are for supply. These cyan colors are lights, and orange colors are for the extraction. So this is a closer view. Let's say you can see here, this is some kind of air curtain, which is around the cooking center, which they offer. It's perforated profile, so they can ensure that there would be no leakages outside of the cooking center. What else can you see? Yeah, they have those horizontal separators for the areas for the dishwashing. This can also be correlated to GIF, and even Menerga has this solution to offer. Unfortunately, we don't have, but I know that we can make, let's say, a bit more customized extraction ducts. So extraction ducts can be for larger filters, which are generally used for the hoods. Then you will have a larger construction of the V duct, and more, let's say, possibility for large airflow capacities extraction, or even it can change the angle of installation. Yeah, as for the self-cleaning ducts, that's a point to mention, which was mentioned from Robert, I believe, on a break. Yeah. So yeah, Halton has to offer an option for self-cleaning of the extraction ducts, and that's one of the cases why they have a high price. And together with that, as we mentioned, supply air curtain through nozzles around the kitchen center, perforated supply boxes with filtration. We can also offer this prihoda, let's say, supply ducts, which would be made as separate boxes. So it doesn't have to be a part of the ceiling. If you have, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hoods in the room. Those are not, let's say, variant hoods, but you can offer prihoda along the border of the kitchen. I will show you the drawing later if you didn't see it. Okay, so this is what we mentioned. This is a section view from Halton from one example. So quite clear, let's say, what they offer, some additional, let's say, points which they communicate also in the drawings. So maybe a recommendation is to communicate the details about additional installations also in the drawing. I know that when using even Oxitec as a solution for UVC, you will receive some small chart about wiring and about the installation details. The second competitor mentioned is GIF. This is, let's say, their basic floor plan. Supply areas are marked in red. Extract areas are marked with yellow colors. In case the lights are in extract region, they will have the connection for supply air. And those orange colors are for intensive extraction. So similar to the integrated hood, which you saw on one of the previous slides. They also offer this simplified, let's say, floor plan with mentioned airflows. So again, red supply, yellow extract, and orange or brown here is intensified extract. And the section view as, let's say, not as, but with some of those details. So definitely they will show the height of installation. So you will have to be careful if you have GIF on your market. If you are replacing GIF, they can go really low with the installation height below the concrete ceiling because it's an open ceiling. You know, so there is not much room necessary for the main duct. They can just put in a duct, I don't know, 20 centimeters high and 1 meter wide, and they can extract everything through this narrow region above the ceiling. I believe this is also one of the points which provides them with good, let's say, market position in Germany and I don't know, maybe in Austria, but this installation height. So what are our possibilities? We can offer air handling unit, duplex basic, V or N, or even we can go to multi-eco if it's necessary, but then highlight should be on a good pre-filtration because multi-eco on itself has more pressure drop in the core, so we don't want to overload that more too frequently. And other part would be easier maintenance. So a good pre-filtration will ensure less requirements for a lot of maintenance in the unit. So I don't know if you have, even if you use a basic unit, we can offer only G4 filters inside, M5 filters, or F7 on the extract. But I would recommend you to instruct the designer or the installer to, let's say, have in mind an option for, let's say, duct cassette filter G2, G3, which is mesh, which would be used some kind of grease separator. So it would be kept on the stainless filter. It would not go inside that much on the G4 filter, so the unit would be cleaner in the end. So we can offer automatic regulation. As we mentioned, it's a bit limited. So we can control in total 5 temperature sensors. We can add their humidity sensors for, let's say, some area where the dishwashing is. And upon that, we can separate the ventilation in 2 zones. if you didn't know, our zones will work, let's say, reverse, then it's somehow logical. So an increase of, let's say, load in zone 1 will result in closing of the zone 2, and it will not be, let's say, increase in zone 1 that would open more the zone 1. So it's, let's say, indirect. Zone 1 load will affect zone 2. Zone 2 load will affect zone 1. So that's, let's say, something to keep in mind when offering. Integrated hoods, as shown on this photo on the visualization. In case there is a need for, let's say, more intensified extract, which cannot be spread on the number of smaller filters for ventilation sealing, we can also integrate hood, whether it is grande or whether it is kubus for some dishwashing area. As we mentioned, so duct pre-filtration, let's say, is an option to mention to the designer or to installer, but unfortunately we do not offer that. Additional filtration like UVC or what else? There is this active charcoal filtration. So in case of UVC, it's definitely recommended to use also active charcoal in combination, because the charcoal will neutralize all the ozone. So this is appropriate for the kitchens, let's say, where the extract is somewhere lower to the, let's say, street or something. So you don't have a lot of ozone pumping out from the kitchen and affecting, let's say, the people who are passing by, or in some different, let's say, cases. Oh, okay, so that's pretty much it. And there is this electrostatic filtration, which will also serve, but UV will have more efficiency and less, let's say, requirements for maintenance. So yeah, this is, let's say, which is included in that short presentation showing the layout of the kitchen, but basically everything is shown here. We have a room temperature sensor, which will be used for this comparison with the low temperature sensor, and upon that the unit will increase the capacity. The sensors will be installed in some profile, whether it is between the panels or close to the extraction duct. Yes, please. Zones. Yes.
The zone only because of different places in the room what we need evacuation, or is it from some size that we say we need some zones?
Well, zoning with basic units would be, let's say, we don't need them. So basically the whole ceiling can work without the zoning, but let's say with automatic regulation of low temperature sensors. So I don't know if it's a smaller kitchen, if our basic unit can withstand, let's say, the capacity which is necessary, maybe it's even better to work without the zones. So yeah, I don't know, up to 50-60 square meters, you shouldn't need any zones basically, because if you can imagine the cooking center, that would be, I don't know, 3 meters times 2 meters. Then you can imagine that that cooking center will, let's say, take effect on at least 3 lines of extract. So if the control system will see the increase in temperature, then basically everything would be spread on this smaller area of the ceiling. But on the other hand, it might be useful if some of the kitchen areas are not used often. So I don't know, if you have in the morning cooking pasta, or I don't know, some low amount of grilling, then you will use only that zone. And in the evening, if you have, I don't know, wok, grills, fryers for the French fries especially, then you can put it in the different zone. But it's basically only upon the request from the designer and from the kitchen appliance position.
But is that zone defined by the ducts? Or what is regulating the zone? We say, okay, the load sensor is high or lower. The shuttle network or the different ducts? So how is that?
Yes. Basically, you will need, for the zoning, you will only need, let's say, 2 branches. So you can have one main duct, T connection, let's say, on both sides. And after that, you will have those regulation dampers, as we mentioned, because regulation dampers will be on standby, fully open. And then if the increase of ventilation is in zone 2, it will close the zone 1, increase the airflow, and then you will have increased, let's say, extract from the zone.
So is that we send the unit to the system?
Yeah.
All the regulation dampers to us?
As far as I know, not.
No.
Not.
Okay. Also like some signal.
Yeah, it's a signal 0 to 10 volts, but in case you would offer this solution, just highlight that the servo drives need to be fast reaction servo drives. So we have those Belimos, I don't know, with fully open in 3, 5, 7 seconds, even 15 seconds will be enough. But let's say the standard Belimo drives can be 1 minute, 1 minute and a half. So that's too much, you know, and it's too slow. If you have increase of just imagine, I mean, if a lot of vapor will come and affect the load sensors or humidity sensor, you will need the fast reaction. So you will need at least 3-5 seconds for this zone to react quicker to extract everything. Because if it's longer than 15 seconds, then there is no point to have it. It will spread on the different part of the ceiling anyway. So yeah, about additional possibilities, we can offer UVC filtration, whether it is Oxitec or whether it is some local partner you have. In case of local partners, you will have to ask for a good, let's say, range of cooperation, because you will need a lot of details for the beginning. Brackets, dimensions, installations, whatever, I mean, is possible. Similar when you receive an inquiry. You will need all the details so our guys can prepare it in the drawings and in the production. Fire suppression system, as we mentioned, it doesn't have to be supplied by us. It can be someone local, as long as you have all the details necessary for the preparation, for the approval documentation, and in the end for the installation into our extract system. So yeah, some kind of type of proposals. Let's say this is with integrated grande hood, because on this position there was a charcoal grill and it has to be extracted via separate system. It shouldn't be, I mean, it must not be connected together with the main system because of the fire safety reasons. I mean, modern charcoal grills do have spark eliminators, so there is technically no chance to have a spark in the duct system, but the safety is never enough. And yeah, on this proposal, we also had a side connection to the supply duct, because the concrete ceiling height was a bit lower, so we also used this. Let me just show you. It's a small photo, but you can see this is the connection, and all of this supply duct is connected. So this part is open, and in this case you don't need any connection from the top. And actually we are using it as much as possible. Okay, this is a process kitchen, let's say, which I mentioned earlier. So all of the large appliances are here, and convection ovens are here. I believe these 4 convection ovens have like 200 kilowatts in total. So it's a lot of power input on this small area. And this is a bit small. I don't know if you can see it, but we had to use larger extract ducts, V-ducts, to fit the hood filters because of a lot of airflow. It wouldn't make any sense. I mean, you could, on larger area, you could put a standard filters which are on the ceiling, which are lower, but you are limited by the airflow through one filter. So if you have a large, let's say, income of steam, it would be spread too much across, and in this way it will be extracted immediately. And this is, let's say, an example of show cooking area for our ceiling. As you can see, all around is supply duct, because this, I hope this will be realized during the end of next year, probably. It's a new hotel with 2 large show cooking kitchens, and basically kitchens are immediately near to the restaurant. So you need to have this leakage prevented, and basically not to sense anything in the restaurant. And of course, it is always recommended to have up to 10% under pressure for the better efficiency of extraction. So as for the selection software, you will select a kitchen. You will have to know kitchen's type. So upon type, you will receive, let's say, simultaneous factor. We will show it later. You will need to know the height of a kitchen, as we mentioned also in the drawings, because for the ceiling, when you select the height, we will also show it. It will affect the low edge of the ceiling height. So the one which is used for the calculation. The height which you select in the software does not mean the overall height of the room. So it will be the bottom part of the ceiling. Size of the kitchen, of course, will make effects on the parameters. Construction details, as we mentioned twice already, walls, windows, any columns which are, let's say, irregular shape, those will affect the proposal in the end. And kitchen appliance list and position, you would like to have it as clear as possible, and it has to contain appliance sizes. If the list or chart doesn't contain any size of the appliance, then you will have to measure it in the drawing and put into the software. Power input, so electro or gas input, and in the end, simultaneous effect factor, position reduction factor, which will depend on the position, and safety factor A, which depends on the type of supply air put into the room. So for the beginning, you will add a room. Then you will have to add room dimensions, height of a lower ceiling edge, which is the one on the photo. And this height will in the end affect your airflow. So you will select whether it is ceiling hood or large scale hood. You will add cooking centers and appliances from database, self-entered, which you can also select some options from predefined, let's say, appliance list, and the dishwashers. Yes.
The calculation method, or in the next slide?
It's in the next slide. So yeah, the calculation method will be either according to VDI 2052, or it will be according to EN 16282. So basically, the only change in the formulas is the position of simultaneous factor, which will in the end affect the airflow. And basically EN norm has originated from VDI 2052. That's why those are similar. I don't know how about your market. We are still okay with VDI, but regarding the ceilings, we are pushing EN just to be, let's say, on the safe side with the calculation. Simultaneous effects, yeah, it will depend on the kitchen type. So you can select some predefined kitchen types here. Then you will be asked how many portions per day are there, and in the end you will result in a simultaneous effect factor. Or you can check VDI 2052 norm. I don't know, do you have it? Do you check it? Do you study it? No? You will have it, you will check it, you will study it, because it's helping a lot. I mean, let's say EN norm is, let's say, more describing the requirements, but VDI norm is in detail describing the whole calculation method. So it's something around 70 pages and all the details are there. So if you will have a lot of inquiries, it will be helpful to know at least some basics from the VDI norm. So as an example, this is the one which we already saw. So you just put the boundary. If you use AutoCAD, this will ease the work for our guys to know where everything is. And after you receive the layout, you can add all the data into the selection software. So for this example of the ceiling, we had concrete ceiling height at 3.6 meters with concrete beams 35 centimeters high. So we had to take that into consideration in the part where we had passing from room to room. Barrier walls, yeah, this also information are up to full height. So until the concrete ceiling, that means you will have to take it into consideration when describing to our kitchen department. And one air handling unit will be for central cooking because of the UV, and another will be for the dishwashing area and convection oven and food issuing. Sorry. This bold, let's say, point is important. If you use UV filtration only in one section of the ceiling, it's most likely that you will have to separate this extraction by some additional, let's say, plates in the V ducts. So this is also the part which you will have to mention to our kitchen department, which area has to be, let's say, covered with UV filtration. Because there is no point if you ventilate a dishwashing area, convection ovens, it's mostly only steam. And especially if it connects together to one extraction system, some of the ozone will still eliminate the smell. So you are safe only to use, let's say, UV on the highest load areas of the kitchen. Yes, another information that hallway will only be used for lights and supply air due to a bit lower installation height. So we avoid, let's say, crossing of supply and extract main duct. And yeah, so the point which was taken into consideration was 45 centimeters for the main ducting and 45 centimeters for the construction of the ceiling. The calculation height was at 2.5 meters. So if you add 90 meters, there is still, let's say, 20 centimeters for to spare, because there is always something else in the room, especially if there is a bigger room to be considered. It's most likely that you will have some heating pipes, cooling pipes, sprinkler installation, which will go to other rooms, cabling, of course. So when you take all of that into consideration, it's always good to spare some height if you can. And the ducting itself is also large because you can expect higher airflows, and especially if you have UV filtration, you will need to have lower airflow for the reaction time of ozone. So recommendation, just have a drawing, add the dimensions, mark the kitchen centers, dishwashers, as we mentioned already. And if the description texts are in your local language, just add few texts and describe what is where. So our guys, as I said, can have direct insight into the project, and you will receive the most accurate proposal drawings that way. So as for the appliance, no, this is firstly the cooking center. So this is basically a central part. As you can see, it's free space in all four sides, so the reduction factor will be 1. In the, let's say, formula for overall extraction, and you will assign the appliances to that center. Recommendation for the calculation is specify the cooking centers first and then add appliance by appliance. I mean, so you can then let's say have everything arranged, I mean, in the software, so you don't have to move anything. It's gonna be easier for you. This is the second, let's say, cooking center, which is only convection oven. So only one appliance is on the list. And for the reduction factor, we have wall from behind, so it will affect the calculation. Yes, please.
Can you show the cooking centers in the drawing?
Yes, of course. So this is the main cooking center, and this is the convection oven. I mean, you can see this dimension is 185, but in the calculation 180 is used, because when you have a cooking appliance, you always have some small portion of the appliance which is in front. In the end, this can affect hood selection. I mean, it will affect hood selection more, but it will affect the calculation, let's say, in a good way, because you don't need to over design it. Mostly the designers will ask for, let's say, lowest airflow possible, because they need to put the duct somewhere. So those are, let's say, some small tweaks which can be used for the calculation optimization. And as for, I don't know, you can see also this is 107, it's put 105. It could even go to 100 centimeters, because you always have some insulation on the convection oven. So those are some small tweaks which can be used. Do you have any more questions for the cooking center? Yeah, but you also have a safety factor, which is standardly 1.25, so you get 25% more anyway. So this is more, let's say, for good manners towards designer. Yeah, true. And you can also play, we will go through that after. So yeah, basically appliance selection, when you want to add a new appliance, you will have its position. So that's why, even if you don't have a positions marked on the drawing, just put a sketch, make a sketch for yourself, and then add according to that into the selection software. If you had, I don't know, one cooking center, you might not need it. But if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, then you will need to arrange everything according to numbers. Basic description, you can add some more description here if something is specified, but it's not necessary. Here we have power input. The kitchen area means, let's say this is a division of appliances. So you have frying, grilling, baking, you have cooking, you have multi-purpose appliances, and you have food issuing. So bain-marie, let's say for food issuing, will be on the food issuing. Cooking, you can expect some boiling pans, pasta cookers. In that part, multi-purpose appliances, you will have some tabletop cookers. So let's say gas cooker, electric cooker, induction cooker, and multi-purpose appliance itself. There are those automatic, how do you call them, cookers. So they have a similar, let's say, specifications as a tilting pan. So the tilting pan has the wheel to tilt. Yeah, please.
Not heating the cooker, keeps it in.
Yeah, infrared lamp. We will check it. I believe it's on food issuing or multi-purpose appliance. So we will check in the ADU. We can check it on the break now, but later we will show anyway an example. But we do have a lot of examples with this. So there is something you just put 250 by 250 and 0.25 kilowatts, and that's a heating lamp. So yeah, as for the multi-purpose appliances, an example is a gas stove with 6 burners, and you will have to select this open cooking area because you have 6 separate burners, and you will have a different, let's say, factor for the calculation in case it is a large surface. So there are some stoves which use only 1 plate. And again, if you have induction, you will select induction for electro top cooker, or you can have also large plate for electro. Induction will have the lowest factor. It will be 0.35, I believe. And let's say large cooking plate will have 1.35, I believe. So you can imagine if you heat up the whole plate, of course, it will emit more heat to the room. Instead, if you have induction, which is below the pan, it doesn't affect much the rest of the room. And as for dishwashers, there is a small bug in the software. Whatever dimension you select here, it will get you back to 1000 by 1000. But for that purpose, you will like to have a separate cooking center for the dishwasher as well. So because the calculation will take into consideration the cooking center. And on the cooking center, you can put exact dimensions of the dishwasher. And because of this, it will constantly, let's say, appear like that, but it will be solved. As for the type, there are either automatic with the hood, or there is a conveyor or belt dishwasher to be used. For basically every type of dishwasher, it's recommended to ask for additional specification. So not only do you receive the power input, because the calculation will give you, as you can see, maybe the recommended airflow for 7 kilowatts is 1,420 cubics per hour, which is really a lot. It's not necessary to have it like that. So the other, let's say, tip which you can use, but you will have to mention it to the customer in the written form, of course, that there is an assumption of, I don't know, washing 400 plates per hour, as you can see, which will result in 630 cubics per hour. So I do it, we do it because of the market, because it's proven even by the hoods that it's not necessary to have as much airflow. But in the end, you have a part of VDI norm with a chart where all the recommendations which are given here are given based on the plates per hour. So you can use it, you can put in here manually, and yeah, so that's table A3 in VDI norm. It's large, so it's not in the presentation. So for the safety factor, you can play with that, but you will have to consult with our kitchen department, because it can affect the calculation a lot. Standard for mixing is 120 to 125, and for flooding is 105 to 110. This is according to EN, but for VDI it was even more. So I don't know, for mixing it goes up to 135, and for flooding it goes up to 115, I believe. But you can see on this chart what resembles the mixing supply air, and you can see what considers the flooding. So let's say the more lamellar flow is, the more flooding it can be, let's say, taken for the calculation. And if it's turbulent, if you use only those, how do you call them, circular anemostats for circular flow, then you can expect a lot of mixing. So yeah, a finished, let's say, proposal for this inquiry. What you receive on the drawing is a legend, depending on the type. So either it's light as shown above the polycarbonate, or it is inline light for K and N solution. This is where specified airflows are. If there are more kitchen rooms, then it will be also mentioned in the chart separately. Again, all the pressure drops for the filters. So you know that for cyclonic filters, we can expect at least 2 or 2.5 times more pressure drop for the nominal flow, which basically are not necessary, maybe because we are really good with the lamellar filters in terms of separation, especially if you add some additional filtration to that, we are really good. And of course, LED light specifications are mentioned in drawing. Construction and electro notes, and also if there is a UV, there will be a separate section for, let's say, UV requirements and preparations, what cables and everything are necessary. And of course, this part, the grounding cable, this can be forgotten quite often, so just mention it twice, that it has to be prepared in the room. Depending on the size of the ceiling, I don't know, it's enough to have one grounding up to 50-60 square meters, and then above you will have 2-3, depending of course on the room layout. Okay, so thank you again.